Top 48 Dynasty rookie rankings, 12-team Superflex, PPR, true tight end premium formats. In Tier 1, there is only one. Ashton Jeanty is the clear 101 for me. Talk about a guy who immediately comes into that Tier 1 in the Dynasty landscape alongside Bijan, Gibbs, Saquon type of player who can be a foundational piece, who can be a potential top 5 performer as a rookie. I think that's possible. Look at top 6 overall draft capital. It's higher than Bijan went. He's built in a way that's different than Bijan, that's different than Gibbs. With a Pete Carroll team, physical, hard-nosed, ground and pound. Ashton Jeanty for me. He can have a major impact for your Dynasty team, absorb a workhorse type of role that we haven't quite seen for a rookie in quite some time. This is a guy that also has receiving upside. You spend a 6th overall pick on a player like this, you're going to get him involved on all 4 downs. 4-down type of player with Ashton Jeanty. He is my 101 in a tier of his own. Kicking off Tier 2 and rounding out the top 5 for me, it's Omarion Hampton. He also, like a Jeanty, is going to be a 4-down back. Jim Harbaugh has said as much at every possible turn. Joe Ortiz, they view him as a volume type of player. Sure, there's a Najee Harris there. 1-2 punch, you have to be okay with that in the modern NFL. To be an elite type of running back, you only need 2 out of every 3, 66%, 60+%, well within the realm of possibility. That's what I'm expecting out of Omarion Hampton. You talk about a touchdown or 2 taken away by a Najee Harris. That's life for the modern running back. That is not going to prohibit Omarion Hampton from having a day 1 impact. Love the landing spot. Love getting him here at the 102. Speaking to the insane talent headlined by this running back class. Bit of a running back renaissance, which I am on record saying last year. This is the direction we're going. Buckle up along for the ride. You got to start recognizing it in your leagues and addressing the running back position accordingly. Cam Ward at 103. Great prospect. I've liked him since he was really on the radar at the Washington State days. This is a player that I view as having a Drake May type of trajectory. I really do. Set expectations a little bit lower. Have more of an affinity for the older guys or the younger guys who are a little bit more proven, but not a lot more proven. Cam Ward is not going to have to set the world on fire to move up in the Dynasty community in positive sentiment, perception, exceed expectations. I expect him to, which then leads him to being in that fringe top 12, a quarterback 1 conversation. Cam Ward, I think it's a great value as a top 3 to 5 pick in your rookie drafts, as I do with the top 2 receivers in this class. T-Mac, wide receiver 1 now for me. I was on the Travis Hunter, number 1 receiver in this class. I was on the Travis Hunter and T-Mac in different tiers. But for the NFL draft, recognizing what played out, I'm leaning T-Mac here because of the dream fit with the Carolina Panthers. I really do believe that. Talk about pairing up with a Bryce Young who had an absolute resurgence. Dave Canales, you understand the thought process of, well, Mike Evans, Drake London, where I was not so comfortable casting that in the pre-draft process. You start to understand the perspective of the team that put a top 8 pick into this player and recognize his skill set, what he can provide, what he steps into as far as being an alpha in the Carolina Panthers room. Love T-Mac here at the 104. Like Travis Hunter, I think they have real chances to be potential top 10 Dynasty wide receivers if they reach their ceiling in year 1, which is great value outside of the top 3. In the true definition of a tier, I understand if you have any order of the 4 players in this tier and then subsequent tiers as well, it's your preference. This is how I see it. These are my convictions with Travis Hunter. I was expecting him to be a Cleveland Brown. I was expecting Travis Hunter to be a Brown where he would be like a T-Mac, a clear alpha in an offense that wants to throw the ball, that will throw the ball amongst the highest rates, a team that was very adamant about how they see him as a wide receiver who can moonlight at corner, which appears to be the case in Jacksonville. You've, of course, got Liam Cohen there, who just made some beautiful fantasy music with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, when they both played, with a running back as well, who will touch on a potential Jacksonville running back target a little bit later on the video, but sticking with Travis Hunter. I have a little bit of questions when you consider trading up future first. James Gladstone, the young upstart GM who's trying to be innovative, be bold. He said as much, trying to push the boundaries. I look at Jacksonville and casting a little bit of doubt, not completely, compared to a Cleveland. I just view the potential to be used as a corner as well as maybe a little bit more of a threat in Jacksonville. And in the long run, maybe eating away at his true high-end dynasty upside. But with him set to be primary offense, which if it's 80, 85% is fine, is still enough with his talent to produce in a meaningful way. Still a heck of a wide receiver talent, rounding out the top 5. The OSU RB duo composes my tier 3, 106, 107. These are both guys that are going to have early roles in these offenses in New England and in Cleveland. Top 40 picks. They're going to be the feature back, in my view, with Trevion Henderson. The preference there, the receiving skill set, the incredible ability as a blocker. He's not going to be taken off the field. He has no reason to. Ramondre Stevenson, I understand the role that he might provide, a little bit more of a thumping presence, maybe some goal line action. Great situation with a Drake May. With New England, they're certainly going to have to involve the running back, be the quarterback's best friend at multiple times throughout the season with the offensive line, which they've done a lot to rebuild it, which is great. Still against some stiffer competition. Trevion Henderson is going to be a security blanket for Drake May. Awesome, awesome value here outside of the top 5. It's Henderson, and then it's Judkins here, who goes to Cleveland, where GM Andrew Berry and coach Kevin Stefanski have said bell cow every chance they've gotten in describing the role with Quinshon Judkins' ability to involve him as a receiver. Not quite to the extent of his former teammate in Henderson, but still in a meaningful way where he's not going to just be a first, second down player. That is not the case. I know Sampson, drafting him on day 3, early day 3, that's a little bit of a factor. It's not material enough for me to move Quinshon Judkins down. He is going to be the primary guy there in Cleveland, and I'm recognizing him as such in this tier 3, your 106 and 107 in rookie drafts. RJ Harvey starts tier 4, which composes the rest of your first round. RJ Harvey is a guy that goes to the Broncos, end of the second round, a team that targets running back at a top 5 rate, a team that has a head coach who has a bit of an affinity for drafting a running back, finding talent there. I can see a world where RJ Harvey has one of the 2 best rookie seasons. You talk about the situation, the talent that's already there, the team that was in the playoffs, that looks to factor in the AFC West again. You add an absolute weapon, a home run hitter that is RJ Harvey. He is an intriguing player. Jackson Dart here, 109. Is it a hot take? I don't think so. You look at the statement that the Giants made, trade a bunch of spots back into the first round, top 25. You have Brian Daboll, who's a bit of a quarterback whisperer. I have grown more and more favorable of him as a prospect leading up to the draft. Having one of the most talented receivers already in a Malik Neighbors, having a duo of running backs, young ascending running backs, Andrew Thomas, if he can stay healthy, a franchise left tackle, blindside protector, similar to a Cam Ward. Just think about how low the expectations are going to be in your league, in the Dynasty community. More than happy taking a bet on a bit of a distressed type of asset here in Jackson Dart, where, oh, there's no chance. They're just saving face. What if he works? What if he works? Tyler Warren and Colson Loveland here back to back at 10 and 11. This is a true tight end premium ranking here. I'm not talking about a measly 0.5, a 1.0 even. You're talking about premium formats where the top upper echelon performers at tight end are actually in line with other positions. Otherwise, what are you really getting? I mean, that's a tough question that you have to ask. But with a significant, sufficient enough tight end premium, I'll stake a bet on a Warren and Colson Loveland. Talk about the situations. Top 15, Colts and the Bears. Steichen, Ben Johnson. Warren getting the tiebreaker here. The feature ass weapon for whoever is taking snaps there. Really feel that way about Tyler Warren. And you think about the usage, the involvement, him in the potential quarterback sneak, fullback, get you some rushing touchdowns. That is very attractive to me for a Tyler Warren who's going to eat up a bunch of targets to, of course, go alongside with that as a pass catcher. With Colson Loveland, now there's the fear, the murkiness of that whole Chicago offense. But spending a top 10 pick on him with a Ben Johnson, you think about Sam Laporta's rookie year, I could see that trajectory here with a Colson Loveland. And as a pure pass catcher, the separation skills, the fluid movement, I know a Zach Ertz comp was thrown around out there. Talk about setting the record for tight end receptions, which was, of course, shortly broken in that tight end, the height of tight end, if you will, of recent memory in terms of fantasy. Colson Loveland, upper echelon. I mean, he could be a 100 catch guy. I could. If everything breaks right, I could see that. So give me a bet on a difference-making player here with either of the tight ends in the first round of my rookie draft. Caleb Johnson rounding out the top 12 for me. I'm not going to let pick 80-something get in the way of my view of a Caleb Johnson. It is day 2 on a team in the Pittsburgh Steelers that will use him as a volume guy. Yeah, Jaylen Warren's going to have some passing involvement. He's going to figure in some sort of way. Arthur Smith loves a big back here. Arthur Smith has been quite clear there's going to be a lot of carries to go around. And with an Aaron Rodgers potentially there, or who knows, maybe does a rookie Will Howard eventually take a snap this season? They're going to need the running back, the running game, to be a focal point of this team to have any type of success, and Caleb Johnson will be at the forefront of that. As we move out of the first round into tier 5, into round 2, context is everything. If you know in your unique situation, drafting one player over others puts you in a specifically optimal position, power to you. And on that note of context, if you want a highly personalized, customized Dynasty Psych, your own roster eval, link in the description where you get a long-form video plus a highly personalized eval page like this, link down below. Is it Hot Take City? Let me know in the comments, but I've got these 3 receivers, Burden, Ibuka, and Golden, 201 to 203, wide receivers 3 through 5. They composed my top 5 relatively in this order. I had Luther Burden 2, I had Ibuka 5, I had Golden 4. A bit of a shakeup at the receiver position, which was bound to happen. You look at the opportunity, look at the spot, dictating a lot of things. I know. Well, you got to stick to the talent evaluation, the prospect, which I am fundamentally to a degree here. Early second. If you aren't in a significant tight end premium format, I understand the case for these guys to be right in that top 10 mix. I do. The top 15 in this class is awesome. These are extensions of the first round, effectively. But given the relative situation, starting with Burden here, I know Ben Johnson, the new regime, they're all about competition. You have to earn your spot. So what does a DJ Moore really have in terms of the anchor there in that receiver room? Is he there past this season? That's a question. That's a big what if. But that's what it exactly is, an if. I still think DJ Moore is going to be a significant factor in that offense. I think Rome Odunze is going to really emerge as well in year 2. You look at Colson Loveland, there's a lot of unknown. With Luther Burden, I like his trajectory long term, but what is the patience of people in your league. Context is everything, right? To reiterate that. Luther Burden here at the 201. Ibuka, top 20 pick in Tampa. No more Liam Cohen, but you still have got a Baker Mayfield there. An offense that looks set to be one of the better ones in the NFL yet again. You look at the mainstays, though, in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Age being a little bit of a concern with Evans, but I look at him this year, and I would say better than 50-50 that he's there next season as well. Chris Godwin, they just gave him a big contract extension. Recovering from the injury, a vote of confidence, if anything, that he'll be ready early this season. And then Jalen McMillan, guy who had a nice rookie season. And Emeka Egbuka provides a do-it-all capacity, incredible blocker, utility for an NFL team that maybe doesn't so naturally and effectively produce fantasy points for you. We'll see exactly what his usage is, but Emeka Egbuka here at the 202. Matthew Golden at the 203. The Packers pick a receiver for the first time, seemingly ever, in so long. They do it on their home field, their host draft. And then what do? On day 2, within the next couple rounds, they pick a Savion Williams, a gadget type of player. A receiver, running back, slot, outside, wildcat. You've already got a Jaden Reed. You got Christian Watson. I know there's the Wicks Hive out there. Look at a Romeo Doubs. There's so many players that figure into the Packers wide receiver core. It's a head case. It really, truly is. And Matthew Golden, wide receiver 5, still a great option. Let me reiterate with this tier. But it is, talk about ambiguity and uncertainty with wide receivers, with the youth, shapes and sizes, the flavors in that room. It is as unclear and a mess to make sense of as any in the league. You let me know how you guys think of these 3 receivers. I know it's going to be a point of contention, but let's welcome it. Let's enter into the debate, healthy discourse. Jaden Higgins kicking off tier number 6, 204 to 210. He's in a situation where he emerges as that number 2 for a CJ Stroud. I know the comps, some people likened him to a Nico Collins as an upper 95 percentile type of comp and trajectory. He gets to learn right alongside him. Jaden Higgins, he's a guy who I still see as potential leader amongst all rookie receivers in touchdowns. I could see that. Figures to have a notable role in that Texans offense. Trey Harris, you bring back a Mike Williams, but you just said no to him a year ago. That doesn't really factor in at all here to my evaluation as far as Trey Harris and his ability to come in immediately and usurp a Mike Williams type. You've got Ladd McConkey, and then it's really looking like Trey Harris. Talk about a guy who, with a Justin Herbert, connect on some deep shots, give you a bit after the catch. Maybe this is the biggest hot take in my rankings, a Kyle Williams, going effectively a round lower than this ranking I have for him as the 206. With Drake May, you haven't been able to tell already, this is your first video, I'm a big Drake May guy. I really am. And you talk about being an early and often go-to type of guy. You got Henderson there in the backfield. You've got a Diggs who's recovering from injury, who Kyle Williams can certainly learn from. Kyle Williams presents, though, a unique explosiveness, juice that fool me once, fool me twice. I loved Jalen Polk last season, but you just consider how different of a receiver that they are. The explosiveness, how Kyle Williams is able to win, where it's not a jack of all, master of none skill set, if you will. Win pretty urgently within his route, connect for a big play, either down the field or find a little bit of a seam across the middle and get you some after the catch ability there. Maybe take it to the house. Kyle Williams, really like the value that you're able to get consistently on him. I've got him, though, a 206. Well worth a second round pick. 207, I've got Jack Besh. You've got, of course, Brock Bowers figuring in there. You've got Jacoby Myers, who has had, talk about under the radar, underappreciated receiver. I mean, is Jacoby Myers the epitome of that? Jack Besh, though, talk about skill set as an outside guy. Maybe some usage, big slot. Be curious to see with the Bowers already there, how they maybe interchange from time to time with a Jack Besh there. Boundary, but also working across the middle of the field. Contested catchability with a Geno Smith, a serviceable quarterback throwing it to you. I like what it means for Jack Besh. I think it's a well worth mid-second type of pick. Here we go with Cam Scadaboo, who I think people are maybe a little bit higher on consensus than me. I can understand if you've got him 204, given this tier, as high as 204. I just look at Tyrone Tracy, and funny enough, I did a video well back in the season when it was, well, who might be the next Tyrone Tracy, a day 3 pick? And, well, one of the 3, Cam Scadaboo, the other, who we'll touch on shortly, Tootin, Scadaboo and Tyrone Tracy in the same backfield. Tyrone Tracy, he's still going to get receiving work. How quickly does he assume a significant workload? Remains to be seen. I absolutely could see him getting more than a split in terms of carries, a true 50-50. If anything, maybe I could see him getting, a 60% split on the carries. The charged skill set get better as the game goes on. That certainly bodes well for a Scadaboo. Are the Giants going to be in situations where they're going to be able to just churn, run, ground and pound late in games? That's a bit of a question. Tyler Shuck will start games for the Saints in 2025. I think that is almost guaranteed. I will take a shot on a second-round quarterback. You got top 40 capital, a team led by Kellen Moore, get something out of you. Similar to a Jackson Dart, you go to an offensive-minded head coach who's had success in the NFL. Not quite as a head coach, but certainly with the quarterback connection, you've got weapons there. Tyler Shuck, he's got talent. He's had, of course, some freak injuries. He's going to a team, though, where he could make a difference, where he could produce an incredible return relative to a second-round pick for your Dynasty team. Facial Tootin here in Jacksonville, a new regime. With that running back room, Etienne, Bigsby, I think Tootin works his way into a notable role there, where he is potentially the Bucky Irving of this year. Crazy shout, but with a Liam Cohen, where he just had Bucky Irving, did he have a bit of a thumb on the scale with envisioning the type of role, the type of usage? Facial Tootin certainly figures into this tier. Well worth a late second type of investment. Jaden Blue kicks off tier 7, late second, early third, 211, 302 for me. Blue in Dallas, he's going to get some work. What do we target here? A receiving skill set, a clear path to relevancy in a decent offense. We'll see how it looks with Schottenheimer calling the shots, no pun intended. I guess there is, but Jaden Blue from Texas, going to have a third down type of role. Early down, there's a little bit of question marks. You've got Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, Phil Maffa to potentially get some early down work, but Jaden Blue has a clear path as a pass catcher, which makes him an attractive second-round pick. Jalen Milroe is the ultimate upside play here. You have to chase the rushing upside. In Seattle, Darnold gets the contract there, but it's not a hefty contract by any means in the modern NFL. If things sort of go way south, they could look to turn to him in short order. Maybe not quite within this season. Maybe if it goes terribly and they're out of the playoff picture and things just don't look great, a look or two at the very end of this season. Unbelievable upside. I know there's some talk about, why not try to use him as a Taysom Hill? Maybe some packages there. He has so much more viability as a quarterback than a Taysom Hill ever did. But hey, if that's an opportunity to score you fantasy points early, it just reinforces even more why you should stake a bet on a Jalen Milroe. Jalen Knoll, also a Texan with his former and now current again teammate Jaden Higgins. I'm just betting on the player here. This is my stake on the talent that is Jalen Knoll, my pre-draft wide receiver 6. I view him as a crafty slot after the catch, reliable Tank Dell with his recovery from the horrific knee injuries that he sustained. I think Jalen Knoll has a route to early relevance. Shedeur Sanders, to me, he's going to start games for the Browns. This is making a bet here in the early third. Was my QB too. We have gone so downhill and south of where I expected with Shador Sanders, this is a value. This is an upside play. I think he is better than the quarterbacks that they have. I do. I think he's going to start at some point. Probably not going to be the first, maybe even second quarterback that gets the look, but it's the Cleveland Browns after all. If he gets that opportunity, it's all you can really ask. I'm just not going to bet against Shador Sanders. How high are you drafting Shador? Let me know in the comments. With tier 8, allow me to reiterate, your unique situation matters immensely. The context around your team, stressing the idea of a tier. The exact order that I have these players might not be exactly relevant to your team. Where do you get value? Value is the eye of the beholder. It's the eye of what you hold on your roster, the state of your rebuild or contention push. Kicking off this tier are day 2 tight ends who have unique opportunities, starting with Elijah Arroyo, going to the Seahawks. It's a receiving skill set. It's a skill set that they have even floated to an outside receiver. That's a potential cheat code. Maybe shades of an Evan Ingram, Fant, Barner. There's no one really in Elijah Arroyo's way, and his skill set is vastly different and unique in the context of this Seahawk room. But Elijah Arroyo can have a role early in his NFL career, as can a Terrence Ferguson. With the Rams, they make him their first draft pick. Sean McVay says he reminds him of a Chris Cooley, who had a heck of a career. Talked about Travis Kelce, how he moves. He's the coach, after all. You watch Terrence Ferguson, the big-bodied ability to just keep it moving every time he catches the ball. Some after-the-catch, make-you-miss type of movement. Physical. It's not going down easily. Can be quite a presence for this LA Rams offense. I have effectively ranked the first 3 in this tier, Arroyo, Ferguson, and then Mason Taylor, based on how I view them as prospects and keeping them in the same tier. The situations here are not vastly different. With Mason Taylor there in New York, you've got Garrett Wilson, and then it's pretty wide open. I like Justin Fields. I think he can be a potential long-term solution for the Jets. But to what extent he can be a transformative, a difference-making type of tight end, I think he's third relative to those chances, with the other 2 ahead of him in this tier. Good player, good situation, just not the most dynamic skill set for fantasy football. Jalen Royals and Alec Ayomanor, day 3 picks that go to 2 intriguing situations. This is in keeping with effectively my pre-draft ranking. These are 2 players who can make a difference. Jalen Royals, with the Chiefs, they have already made it abundantly clear how they view him as a versatile chess piece within this offense. Jalen Royals was a top 8 receiver for me pre-draft. Goes to a team that's got Pat Mahomes. You've got, of course, Rice, Worthy. And then I think Jalen Royals can really emerge. I really do. Alec Ayomanor, the second receiver technically taken by the Titans, but I think he could be the true alpha of rookie receivers that emerge with a Cam Ward. Tyler Lockett looks like he's going to have a slot presence. And then I think you've got Calvin Ridley and Ayomanor on the boundaries and an opportunity with Cam Ward to create a connection that really sustains. Look at the trajectory of a Tank Dell and CJ Stroud. With Harold Fannin in that tier 2 tight end for me pre-draft alongside the guys who start this tier and is still in the context of this same tier, just a bit behind, separated by some more other position players. You've got Njoku there, who exactly is their quarterback. Fannin, when he's on the field, he's certainly going to be utilized as a pass catcher. It's just how early, how frequent is he on the field. Njoku, he's kind of the old reliable. We'll see who is under center, how often, how much consistency we even get from that quarterback in Cleveland, as well as what their tendency, their go-to targets are. Dylan Sampson here. Pre-draft for me, RB6. Quinshon Judkins is there. They made a statement taking Judkins. Bit of a thunder and lightning. Dylan Sampson potentially carving out a role on 3rd down. It's possible. I still view Quinshon Judkins extremely highly. But Sampson, I think he could get some use. Rounding out tier number 8 Taking you through the 401, it really starts with two running backs in Woody Marks and Brashard Smith. These are priority targets for me, given their situations, given their skill sets, though. Receiving skill sets. Effectively, receivers out of the backfield. You look at what they've been asked to do, what they've been able to handle. With Woody Marks, you're talking about really the next guy behind a Joe Mixon who provides certainly a different flavor relative to a Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon is not necessarily a spring chicken, given his age. You look at Brashard Smith, converted receiver, quite literally, goes to SMU. The first time he's really asked to run the ball, he has an incredible season. You look at the explosiveness, the burst that he provides. You think about a Jerick McKinnon comp. I don't hate it. I can see it. And you look at just the personnel, key decision makers involved with picking a Brashard Smith. They talk about him as having a relatively easy role, clear path to relevancy within this Kansas City offense. Again, when you look at what's in front of him, in this case, Pacheco, I don't see quite a barrier to entry with the style, with injury concerns as well. There's a lot of intrigue there with Brashard Smith for me. My pre-draft RB9, along with Woody Marks, these are guys that are great fantasy upside shots in your third rounds. I'm not getting overly concerned with, well, the fourth round or the seventh round. These are guys that are both worthy plays, as is a Will Howard. Talk about quarterback upside. In Pittsburgh, who is really going to be there? Assuming it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, but Will Howard for me was my QB6 pre-draft. He's a guy that can give you a little bit of thumping rushing presence when you need it. If he gets to start some games, I think there could be some pleasant surprises given the athletic profile he has, given the touch he's able to put on throws. Are they really going to opt for a Mason Rudolph for the 18th time mid-season? Or are you going to go for a jolt, give your fans some hope after the absolute disaster class that the quarterback position has been the last several seasons? Will Howard for me, he's quite an intriguing play, quite a value within this class. You're talking the end of the third, beginning of the fourth. With Pat Bryant, I'm just not complicating it when I see a coach in Sean Payton talk about how he can have a role immediately, how he compares to a Michael Thomas, the guy that coached Michael Thomas. I mean, talk about a comparison there. Pat Bryant, he's certainly going to have some runway there to really be the guy alongside Cortland Sutton. With a Bo Nix, with a competent offensive line, you add in an RJ Harvey. I can't disrespect him by keeping him out of this tier. Tier 9 and beyond, it's the fourth round. It is dart throws. It is the priority running back range for me. Starting with DJ Giddens, goes to Indianapolis, really the guy behind a Jonathan Taylor. Talk about buying prime handcuffs who are behind high-value players. And if a high-value player is all of a sudden not available, you could get a relatively high-value price compared to a fourth-round rookie pick. With Ollie Gordon going to Miami, a bit of a shock pick. With a team that loves speed, you look at A-Chain, you look at Jalen Wright, Gordon is such a deviation from that. Could he get a potential goal line role early? That would be certainly intriguing, certainly warrant more than an early fourth-round pick. Ollie Gordon, talk about a guy who came into last season as potential fringe first-round pick. Can he rewrite the script in the NFL? I am very intrigued with Ollie Gordon here. Going to a Miami Dolphins team that could certainly use his help, mixing him into the backfield. Jordan James to San Fran. Give me a 49ers running back under a Kyle Shanahan, below a Christian McCaffrey. Just a couple starts, spot starts, and give you a Jordan Mason, or really Jordan Mason plus type of run. Really a ham and egg type of player. A lot of just efficient 5-6 yard runs. Not the most explosive player. In this range of your rookie drafts, though, is certainly worth the upside play. All you're looking for is potential opportunity, and there is not a complete concrete wall barrier to entry with a Jordan James here. Devin Neal to New Orleans. You've got now a new regime there, headlined by Kellen Moore, offensive-minded coach. Devin Neal was my RB10 pre-draft. Falls a bit in the draft, but he is a tough physical running back, different to a Kamara. How long is Kamara there in New Orleans beyond this upcoming season? I think he is better than Kendre Miller. How early they recognize that, that's to be determined. But again, talk about the benefit of a clean slate. You don't have the incumbent advantage, Kendre Miller, with a Kellen Moore or a Doug Nussmeier. This is going to be a pretty tough year for the Saints, I would envision. Do you want to run a Kamara into the ground as you get into the later stages of the season if you want to keep him beyond this season? Or if you really don't view him as being long for New Orleans, that opens things up wide, wide open for a Devin Neal in 2026. Jarquez Hunter. Talk about good draft capital. The Rams stake an early day 3 pick on a Jarquez Hunter. Talk about providing an element that a Kyron Williams, a Blake Corum do not provide you. The explosiveness that Hunter gives you is very intriguing. Similar to a Gordon, you talk about the idea of a deviating skill set. How much he takes that by the horns and really carves out a little bit of a share, that remains to be seen, but you see the vision there in LA. Kyron Williams, though, has had quite a foothold on that backfield to a degree of one of the leading snap share rates amongst all running backs, a true workhorse, if you will, on the field at all times. Is this the year where they truly have a rookie come in to give a little bit of a spell to a Kyron Williams? Kyle Monangai goes to Chicago. Finally, they pick a running back in the 7th round. This is a guy that I've seen, shout out NFLSC, Connor, talk about, look, can he be the Dave Montgomery in this version of a Ben Johnson, a now Chicago Bears offense? I could see that, dreaming on the 95th percentile. Are they going to bring in Nick Chubb? That would certainly provide a bit of a damper into early relevancy. He's not the most explosive player, but if this Bears offense is able to really take a step, and this guy all of a sudden is the goal line, the physical short yardage type of back, worthy pick here in tier 9, as is rounding out Trevor Etienne. I'm not betting against Etienne, who I had in the same tier as a Smith. This is a guy that dealt with some injuries, but against the best competition, this guy constantly delivered. Once again, you see the vision for why the team drafted him. He's explosive in a way that others aren't quite within that backfield. There's a chance Etienne carves out a role at some point in his rookie season. Concluding the top 48, top 50, top 53, it's tier 10. Torrey Horton. This is a guy that was in my top 15 wide receivers pre-draft. I just like the player. Dealt through some injuries, recovered now fully, seemingly, fingers crossed, looks great. You see the highs, you see again to Travis Hunter, you see the size, the athleticism for that. It's pretty open in Seattle from my view. You've got JSN, you drafted an Elijah Arroyo, you've got Cooper Kupp there. But long term, I could see Torrey Horton being a mainstay in that Seahawks offense. Very intriguing for me in the late 4th round, as is Dylan Gabriel. I do think Shador is better than Dylan Gabriel, but do the Browns think that? We're going to see how camp plays out. Who gets the edge? Who really establishes themselves over the other in the rookie quarterback hierarchy within that team? But really, who puts themselves in the hierarchy to get games in 2025? They spent a day 2 pick on Dylan Gabriel. Clearly think a certain way about him. And it wouldn't be a total shock if he ends up being above a Shador. Gunnar Helm and Aronde Gadsden here, 2 tight ends. Helm in Tennessee, early day 3. There's not really that much competition there. He could step into a role, carve out something relatively quickly. Tight ends, again, though, what are you really getting? Are you getting difference-making production? Making you question how early you should spend a pick within your rookie drafts. With Gadsden, though, talk about a guy who is a tight end but is really a wide receiver. Going to LA, is there an outside chance that he can have a role as a true receiving threat? It's worth an upside play here in the 4th round. Isaac Tesla going to the Lions in the 70s, middle day 2. They make a statement there. He's a great athlete for his size. He's a physical blocker. Bit of that junkyard dog that the Lions love. I don't know how clear of a fantasy role he's really going to be able to have. You look at, of course, Amon-Ra, Jameson, Laporta is going to have his role. Gibbs out of the backfield. We'll see in the post-Ben Johnson era. Day 2 receivers worth a shout. Savion Williams. I talked about how the Green Bay Packers are a bit of a head case in talking Matthew Golden earlier. Williams, can he come in and be a gadget player in what is a wide open Packers receiving room? They clearly see something warranting him being a day 2 pick. I could see you spending a pick on him as well, as I could with a Ty Felton. Goes to the Vikings, day 2. Could he be that wide receiver 3? Very possible. Talk about incumbency advantage. Does he develop a connection with a new quarterback who no one really has a solidified connection with. Of course, you're going to have Jefferson. Addison as well has emerged. But Felton, can he create a little bit of a connection with a JJ McCarthy? Make it a bit interesting. What do you guys think of these rankings? 10 tiers, 50 plus players of rookies ranked here. Let me know your favorite steals, your favorite sleepers in the comments, guys. Have a great one. I will see you in the next one.